Love stories about cheating husbands and marriage betrayals? You're in the right place. Hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a story. I never imagined that within 24 hours of becoming Mrs. Carter, my fairy tale would begin to crumble. My name is Emma. I'm 37 years old, and I just married the man I thought was the love of my life. The wedding was perfect. December in Savannah, Georgia. String lights draped across oak trees. Our closest friends and family. Champagne toasts that went on forever. My husband, James Carter, 43 years old, looked at me like I was the only woman in the world. After 4 years together, we'd finally done it. I was deliriously happy. We didn't leave for our honeymoon immediately. We'd planned a quiet night at the historic bed and breakfast downtown, then a week in the Bahamas after New Year's. That first morning as his wife, I woke up wrapped in Egyptian cotton sheets, sunlight streaming through vintage lace curtains, James still asleep beside me. I reached for my phone to post a few wedding photos. That's when I saw it. A message request on Instagram from someone named Vanessa Reed. I didn't recognize the name immediately, but when I opened her profile, my stomach dropped. It was her, James's ex-wife, the woman he'd been married to for 11 years before their divorce finalized 2 years ago. My finger hovered over the message. James had told me about Vanessa, how their marriage had been turbulent, how the divorce had been a nightmare, how she'd refused to leave their house for months, forcing him to live with his brother. He called her emotionally unstable, said she'd made his life hell. Don't open it, I told myself. It's just drama. She's trying to ruin your happiness. But curiosity, or maybe instinct, made me click. The message was long. My hands started shaking as I read the first line. Emma, I know you just got married. I'm sorry to reach out like this, but there are things you need to know about James. Things he won't tell you. He's been contacting me. This pattern, I lived it. Please, just hear me out. I looked over at my sleeping husband, his face peaceful and innocent. 24 hours. We'd been married less than 24 hours. I sat frozen in bed, the phone burning in my hand. James stirred beside me, and I quickly locked the screen, my heart pounding. I couldn't let him see this. Not yet. Not until I figured out what game Vanessa was playing. I slipped out of bed, grabbed my robe, and locked myself in the bathroom. Leaning against the marble sink, I opened the message again and forced myself to read the rest. Emma, I know what James has told you about me. That I'm crazy, unstable, that I made the divorce hell. He tells that story to everyone. It's what he does. He demonizes his exes so no one questions him. My jaw clenched. This was exactly what James had warned me about. He'd said Vanessa couldn't move on, that she'd probably try to interfere someday. I loved him for over a decade. I gave him everything. And I'm not reaching out to hurt you. I'm reaching out because I wish someone had warned me. He's been texting me, Emma, even after your engagement, even last month. He says he's checking in, but it never stops there. He tells me about problems in your relationship. He compares us. My blood ran cold. I'm attaching a screenshot. It's from 3 weeks ago. Look at the date. Then ask yourself, why would a man about to get married be telling his ex-wife that he's not sure about things? I scrolled down with trembling fingers. There it was. A screenshot of a text conversation. The contact name was just V. The profile picture was blank, but the number had a Georgia area code. The message read, I know I shouldn't be saying this, but sometimes I wonder if I'm making the right choice. Emma's great, but she doesn't understand me like you did. The date stamp, November 10th, 3 weeks before our wedding. I felt sick. Emma, I survived this marriage, barely. He will make you feel crazy. He will gaslight you. He will swear on everything that I'm lying. But ask yourself, why would I risk looking pathetic just to warn a stranger? What do I gain from this? I heard James's voice from the bedroom. Babe, you okay in there? I stared at my reflection in the mirror, still wearing yesterday's makeup, my hair still pinned from the wedding. Yeah, I called back, my voice cracking. Just give me a minute. I deleted my browsing history, something I'd never done before in my life. Why was I hiding? What was I afraid of? I splashed cold water on my face and returned to the bedroom. James was sitting up now, scrolling through his own phone, smiling at something. Morning, Mrs. Carter, he said, that familiar warmth in his voice. He set his phone down and reached for me. Come back to bed. We don't have to be anywhere today. I forced a smile and climbed back under the covers, but my body was rigid. He noticed immediately. Hey, he tilted my chin toward him. What's wrong? This was my moment. I could ask him, show him the message, demand an explanation, but the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I said, just overwhelmed. Happy overwhelmed. He kissed my forehead. I know yesterday was a lot, but it was perfect, wasn't it? Perfect, I echoed. The next few hours were torture. James suggested we grab brunch at our favorite cafe downtown. I agreed, going through the motions, laughing at his jokes, holding his hand across the table. But inside, I was screaming. I kept replaying Vanessa's message. He tells me about problems in your relationship. Had we had problems? Not really. We'd had discussions. About timelines, about me wanting kids and him being hesitant, about his late nights at the office. Normal couple stuff. But had he complained about me to her? To the woman he'd sworn he never wanted to see again? After brunch, while James was in the shower, I did something I'd never done before. I picked up his phone. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. His passcode. I knew it. He'd given it to me freely months ago, said he had nothing to hide. I typed it in. It didn't work. I tried again, thinking I'd mistyped. Still nothing. He'd changed it. When had he changed it? And why hadn't he told me? I heard the shower turn off. I set the phone down exactly where I'd found it and backed away like it was evidence at a crime scene. James emerged in a towel, running his hands through his wet hair. Want to drive out to Tybee Island? We could walk the beach before it gets too cold. Sure, I said automatically. But all I could think was, what are you hiding, James? What the hell are you hiding? Tybee Island was breathtaking. Pale sand, rhythmic waves, seagulls crying overhead. Couples strolled hand in hand. Kids chased each other through the surf. It should have been romantic. Instead, I felt like I was watching my life through a window. James held my hand as we walked, talking about the honeymoon, about how we should start looking at houses with bigger yards, maybe even adopt a dog. He painted this beautiful future, and I wanted so badly to believe in it, but the changed passcode kept gnawing at me. James, I said, trying to sound casual, did you change your phone password? He didn't miss a beat. Oh yeah, work required it. New security protocol. They made everyone update to 6 digits instead of 4. Pain in the ass. He squeezed my hand. Why? Need to use it? No, just wondered. It's 281956 now. Birth month, year we met. Your birth month. He smiled at me. See? Still all about you. It sounded perfect. Almost too perfect. That evening, back at the bed and breakfast, James ordered room service and opened a bottle of wine. He was being so attentive, so loving. Part of me felt guilty for doubting him. But another part, the part that had read Vanessa's message 20 times, couldn't let it go. While he stepped onto the balcony to take a work call, I grabbed his phone again. This time, the new passcode worked. My heart hammered as I opened his messages. I scrolled quickly, searching for anything with V or Vanessa. Nothing. His recent texts were to me, his brother, a few college friends, his boss. All innocent. I checked his call log. Clean. Was Vanessa lying? Was I losing my mind? Then I noticed something. His text thread with his brother, Kyle. The last message was from this morning. Kyle. Dude, you dodged a bullet. She finally backed off? James. For now. Blocked her on everything last night. Should have done it months ago. My stomach twisted. He'd been in contact with her. Recently enough that he needed to block her last night. Our wedding night. I heard James wrapping up his call. I quickly closed everything and set his phone down, my pulse racing. He came back inside, kissing the top of my head. Sorry about that. Work never stops. He refilled my wine glass. To us. To forever. I clinked my glass against his. The sound hollow. To forever, I whispered. But inside, I was drowning. I couldn't sleep that night. James was snoring softly beside me, completely at peace, while I stared at the ceiling, replaying everything. Blocked her on everything last night. That meant he'd been unblocked before. That meant communication had been happening. How much? How often? And why was his brother acting like this was some ongoing situation? By 3 a.m., I'd made a decision. I needed to talk to someone who knew both of them, someone who'd been around during the marriage. The next morning, while James went for a run, I called Lauren Mitchell. She'd been my coworker before becoming a close friend, but more importantly, she'd been friends with James and Vanessa as a couple years ago. She'd attended their wedding, been to their house for dinner parties, watched the marriage deteriorate. Emma! Congratulations! Lauren's voice was warm. How's married life? Can we meet for coffee? Like today? The shift in my tone made her pause. Of course. Everything okay? need to talk. An hour later, we sat in a corner booth at a Starbucks across town, far from anywhere James would be. I showed her Vanessa's message. Lauren's face went pale as she read. "Oh, Emma, tell me she's lying," I said desperately. "Tell me this is just a bitter ex trying to cause problems." Lauren set the phone down slowly. "I can't tell you that." My world tilted. "What?" She looked around, then leaned closer. "Look, I never said anything because it wasn't my place. And you two seem so happy. But, James and Vanessa, that divorce wasn't as final as he made it sound." "What do you mean?" "I ran into them having coffee. Together. Last spring. April, maybe May. You and James were already engaged. I felt like I'd been punched. Coffee could be innocent. Closure, or, Emma, they were holding hands across the table. The room spun. I convinced myself I'd misread it," Lauren continued, "that maybe they were just talking through final paperwork or something. But the way he looked at her," she reached across and grabbed my hand. "I'm sorry. I should have told you then. Did you see them together any other time?" "No, but mutual friends mentioned seeing his car at her apartment complex a few times, late at night." I pulled my hand back, wrapping my arms around myself. "Emma, I could be wrong. Maybe there's an explanation. He changed his phone password," I whispered, "the night of our wedding." Lauren's expression said everything. I drove home in a daze. Lauren had offered to come with me, to be there when I confronted James, but I needed to do this alone. I needed to see his face when I asked him. James was in the kitchen when I arrived, making lunch. He looked so domestic, so normal, chopping vegetables for a salad, humming along to the music playing from his phone. "Hey, babe, I was starting to worry. Where'd you go?" "Just needed to clear my head." Grabbed coffee with Lauren. "Nice." He didn't even look up. "She's still dating that guy from her gym?" I set my purse down carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. "James, I need to ask you something." Something in my tone made him stop chopping. He turned, knife still in hand, concern crossing his face. "What's wrong?" "Vanessa messaged me, the day after our wedding." His expression shifted so quickly. Surprise, then anger, then something that looked almost like fear, before settling into indignation. "Are you kidding me?" He set the knife down hard. "What did she say?" "She said you've been contacting her. She sent screenshots." "Screenshots can be faked, Emma. You know that." He moved toward me, reaching for my hands, but I stepped back. That small movement, my retreat, seemed to hurt him. "Baby, please. You can't possibly believe her. Lauren saw you, with Vanessa, last spring, having coffee, holding hands." The color drained from his face. For 3 excruciating seconds, he said nothing. Then, "It's not what it looked like." My heart shattered. "So you were with her?" "It was one time. One time. She called me hysterical, saying she was having a breakdown. She threatened to hurt herself, Emma. What was I supposed to do? Let her die?" "You were holding her hand." "I was trying to calm her down. She was crying, falling apart. It was..." He ran his hands through his hair, pacing now. "It was a moment of weakness, compassion, nothing more." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I knew you'd react exactly like this. I knew you wouldn't understand that sometimes you have to help someone even when the relationship is over. It didn't mean anything. I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to believe him. Your brother texted you, said you dodged a bullet, and that she finally backed off. What did that mean?" He froze. "You went through my phone? What did it mean, James?" His jaw clenched. "She's been persistent, texting me occasionally, always with some crisis. I finally blocked her the night of our wedding because I wanted a clean slate, a fresh start with you. That's all it was." "How often is occasionally?" "I don't know. Once a month? Every few weeks?" "Emma, they were breadcrumbs. Nothing conversations. About what?" "Her therapy, her mom's health, random stuff. I was being polite. Too polite, apparently." I felt tears burning behind my eyes. "She said you told her we were having problems, that you weren't sure about marrying me." "That's a complete lie. She had a screenshot. Then she faked it." His voice rose. "Emma, listen to me. I love you. I married you. Not her. She's trying to destroy what we have because she can't move on." He stepped closer, and this time I didn't back away. "Baby, please. Don't let her win." I wanted to believe him. I tried so hard to believe him. For the next 3 days, I convinced myself that James was telling the truth, that Vanessa was a bitter ex spinning lies, that the coffee meeting was innocent, that the texts were just him being too nice to someone who couldn't let go. We went to the Bahamas as planned. The resort was paradise. Turquoise water, white sand beaches, couples massages, sunset dinners. James was attentive, romantic, everything a new husband should be. He never checked his phone obsessively. He never seemed distracted. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. On our 4th night there, James had too much rum at dinner. We stumbled back to our villa laughing, and he passed out almost immediately, still fully clothed on top of the covers. I sat on the balcony, listening to the waves, trying to silence the voice in my head that kept screaming at me to look deeper. Finally, I gave in. I went inside and carefully slid his phone from his pocket. He didn't stir. I used his passcode, the one he'd given me so freely, and opened it. This time, I wasn't looking at recent messages. I was looking at deleted ones. I opened his recently deleted folder. Most messaging apps keep deleted conversations for 30 days. If there was something to find, it would be there. And there it was. A text thread with V, deleted 2 days before our wedding. Over 200 messages spanning 3 months. My hands shook as I scrolled through them. November 2nd, James. I can't stop thinking about you. This is wrong, but it's the truth. November 2nd, Vanessa. Then why are you still going through with it? November 2nd, James. Because I've already committed. Because everyone's expecting it. Because I don't know how to walk away now. I couldn't breathe. November 8th, Vanessa. You told me you loved me. Was that a lie? November 8th, James. No, but I love her too. Just differently. November 15th, James. I'm sorry for putting you through this. You deserved better than what I gave you. We both know our marriage ended because of me, not you. November 18th, Vanessa. If you're having doubts, you need to tell Emma. She deserves to know. November 18th, James. I know, I will, after the holidays. I just need time to figure out what I really want. The phone nearly slipped from my hands. He'd been planning to leave me, or at least, he'd been considering it. While tasting wedding cakes and seating charts and choosing our first dance song, he'd been texting his ex-wife about his doubts. I kept scrolling, my vision blurring with tears. December 10th, James. I'm getting cold feet. Is that normal? December 10th, Vanessa. Only you can answer that. But don't marry her if you're not sure. That's not fair to anyone. December 15th, James. The wedding's in 2 weeks. I think I'm making a mistake. December 15th, Vanessa. Then stop it. Before it's too late. The last message was dated December 20th, our wedding day. James. I'm about to walk down the aisle. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything. Maybe in another life. Vanessa. Goodbye, James. I hope you find what you're looking for. I looked over at my husband. Passed out drunk. Oblivious. He'd married me while being in love with someone else. I didn't sleep. I sat on that balcony until sunrise, the phone in my lap, reading those messages over and over until they were burned into my brain. Part of me wanted to wake him up immediately, scream at him, demand answers. But another part, the part that was already grieving, wanted to wait, to see if he'd come clean on his own, to give him one last chance to be honest. When James finally woke up around 9, hungover and squinting against the sunlight, I was sitting in the chair across from the bed, fully dressed, waiting. Morning, he croaked, rubbing his face. God, I feel like death. How much did I drink? Enough to pass out with your shoes on. He laughed weakly, then looked at me more carefully. You okay? You look like you haven't slept. I haven't. Something in my voice made him sit up straighter. Emma, what? I read the messages, James. The color drained from his face. What messages? The ones you deleted. With Vanessa. From November and December. All of them. He stared at me for a long moment, and I watched him cycle through his options. Deny, minimize, attack. Finally, his shoulders sagged. Emma, you told her you were making a mistake. On our wedding day. You texted her minutes before marrying me. I was panicking. It was cold feet, that's all. Cold feet? I stood up, my voice breaking. Cold feet is nerves, James. Cold feet is not telling your ex-wife that you love her differently than you love me. Cold feet is not planning to leave me after the holidays like I'm some obligation you need to fulfill. I didn't mean those things. Then why did you say them? Over and over for months. He got out of bed, reaching for me, but I backed away. Don't touch me. Baby, please. I was confused. The wedding was coming so fast, and she was in my head, and I made mistakes. But I'm here. I married you. I chose you. You chose me because you didn't have the balls to cancel. You chose me because it was easier than telling everyone the truth. That's not true. She warned me, James. Vanessa sent me that message to save me from exactly this. And I defended you. I told myself she was lying, that she was crazy, that you'd never... My voice cracked. I called her the villain when you've been lying to me this entire time. Tears were streaming down my face now. James looked destroyed, but I didn't care. How long? I demanded. How long have you been in love with her? I'm not... How long? He sank onto the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I don't know. Maybe I never stopped. The words hung in the air between us like poison. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Where are you going? He called after me, panic rising in his voice. Away from you. Emma, wait. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can... I turned back one last time. You married me while loving someone else. There's nothing to fix. And I walked out. I booked the first flight back to Savannah. James called 17 times during the cab ride to the airport. I didn't answer. He texted, James, please don't do this. Let me explain. James, I love you. I know I messed up, but we can work through this. James, Emma, please. You're my wife. That last one made me want to throw my phone into the ocean. I blocked his number. The 8-hour journey home, layover in Miami, sitting in airport surrounded by happy travelers, felt like an eternity. I kept replaying everything. Every moment of our relationship now felt contaminated. Had he ever really loved me? Or had I just been the safe choice, the rebound, the woman who wasn't Vanessa? When I finally got home, I didn't even go inside our house. His house, really. The one he'd shared with her first. Instead, I drove to a hotel and checked in under my maiden name. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I messaged Vanessa back. Emma, you were right. About everything. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. She responded within minutes. Vanessa, I'm so sorry, Emma. I really am. I didn't want to be right. Emma, can we talk? In person? Vanessa, yes. When? Emma, tomorrow. I need to know what I'm really dealing with. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop in Pooler, neutral territory, away from anywhere we might be recognized. I barely slept that night either. By the time I walked into that coffee shop the next afternoon, I looked like hell. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, wearing the same clothes I'd traveled in. Vanessa was already there. She was prettier than her Instagram photos. Dark hair, sharp cheekbones, sad eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. She stood when she saw me. Emma, Vanessa. We sat down across from each other, two women connected by the same man's lies. Thank you for meeting me, I said quietly. I know this is weird. It's necessary. She slid a coffee across the table. Already ordered for me. Somehow the exact way I liked it. I've been where you are. I know how much this hurts. How long were you in contact with him? Really? She took a deep breath. We never fully stopped, even after the divorce was finalized. He'd text me on bad days, when he was stressed about work, or when he and you had an argument. He'd say he just needed someone who understood him. Did you... I couldn't finish the question. Sleep with him? She shook her head. No, not after the divorce. But emotionally? Yes. We had an emotional affair that never really ended. He kept one foot in my life while building a life with you. Why did you stay in contact? Her eyes welled up. Because I loved him. Because he told me he still loved me. Because he said he was confused and needed time to figure things out. She wiped her eyes. And because I was stupid enough to believe that maybe eventually he'd choose me again. But he married me. He married you because I finally told him to stop. That message I sent you. That was me trying to set both of us free. I stared at her. This woman I'd been taught to hate. He told me you were unstable. That the divorce was hell because you wouldn't let go. She laughed bitterly. The divorce was hell because I found out he was already dating you before our separation was even finalized. My stomach dropped. What? He started seeing you in March, Vanessa said, her voice steady but pained. We didn't separate until May. I found out through a credit card statement. Dinner at a restaurant we used to go to. But on a night he told me he was working late. I felt sick. He told me you'd been separated for 6 months when we met. He lied. She pulled out her phone and showed me documents. Divorce papers with dates, bank statements, a lease agreement. We were still living together, Emma. Sleeping in separate rooms, yes, but together. He was coming home to me, kissing our dog goodnight, and then texting you. Everything I thought I knew was crumbling. Why didn't you fight for him? I did, for years. But you can't fight for someone who doesn't want to be fought for. And honestly, she looked me dead in the eye. By the time I found out about you, I was exhausted. I'd spent 11 years making excuses for him, believing his promises, forgiving his moments of weakness. I didn't have anything left. We sat in silence for a moment. Around us, people ordered lattes and worked on laptops, completely unaware that my entire world was imploding. What do I do now? I whispered. That depends. Do you think he can change? I thought about the deleted messages, the lies, the years of deception. No. Then you already know what to do. I've been married for 2 weeks. I was married for 11 years, she said gently. Trust me, 2 weeks is better than 11. Get out now, while you still have yourself. My phone buzzed. James, from a different number. Unknown. Emma, please. I'm flying home. We need to talk face to face. I'll do anything to fix this. I showed Vanessa the message. She smiled sadly. He sent me the same texts. For 2 years. I'll change. I'll do better. Give me another chance. She reached across and squeezed my hand. He won't change, Emma. This is who he is. How did you finally leave? I realized I was never going to be enough for him, that he'd always need someone else to validate him, to feed his ego, to make him feel like he was the center of the universe. She pulled her hand back, and I decided I deserved better than being someone's backup plan. I looked at this woman, this strong, broken, beautiful woman, and saw my future if I stayed. Thank you, I said, tears streaming down my face, for warning me, for telling me the truth, for saving me. Save yourself, she said. That's what I should have done years ago. I left that coffee shop and drove straight to a lawyer's office. By the time James landed in Savannah that evening, I'd already filed for an annulment. Our marriage, all 2 weeks of it, would be erased like it never happened. He called. He showed up at the hotel. He sent flowers, letters, desperate voice messages. I blocked everything, because Vanessa was right. Within 24 hours of our wedding, his ex-wife had reached out to me, and she'd saved my life. Thanks for sticking with us until the very end. Your support means everything. Smash that like button and subscribe for more real-life drama. Catch you in the next one.